Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today is Saturday, April 13th, and it is a beautiful day in the rural gardens. I was feeling a little jealous not being able to be in the yard videos that Brian has been sharing and posting lately, so I was like, man, let me get out there and partake in the beauty that is in our backyard. And so Brian decided, hey, let's do a video of our open house score. So
yeah, this is going to be about our plants that we picked up when we were at the MrMaple open house spring fling.
Yep.
It was a great turnout there, tons of people. I worked the Friday event and then came back Saturday to do some shopping because, you know, sometimes when I'm showing all these people these amazing plants and they're taking them home, I'm like, man, I feel like I need to take some plants home. So we went the next day and went and did a little bit of shopping and found some really cool plants that we're excited to share with you guys. And we're continuing to add more and more things to the garden, even though we probably don't have space for a lot of these things. We do have a lot of ideas of how to create and design the different areas, and spacing sometimes is limited, but you can also kind of contain things by pruning and placement, depending on whether it's a dwarf cultivar or whether it be a flowering shrub or a nice large upright. No matter what it is, you can usually find a space in your garden for it, and not
only that, I mean, we are coming out of winter, and unfortunately things happen, you know, and sometimes we lose some plants, and you always have to replace them because you don't want an empty space or an empty hole in that area of the yard. Like you said, we didn't necessarily probably need all of these, but they will definitely find a home. And I am just as guilty as Brian. When I get to going in those greenhouses and I am digging and digging and digging, I want to find the rarest looking one of the bunch. So I have just as much fun as he does.
Oh yeah, and she's got a great eye for plants. She's always pulling something out of a greenhouse saying, look at this, do you have this one? And I'm like, wow, no I don't, let's get that. So we both enable each other to...
For sure.
But the great thing about it is that the end result is that in the long term and even short term,
absolutely,
we're going to have one of the most beautiful gardens that I can imagine in my mind. And so we're always excited to get out here and continue that process.
Yeah. So, and one of the things that we had in mind this time was we need more flowering shrubs and bushes and just flowers in general. The azaleas are popping around town right now, and every time we're driving down the road, we're like, oh my gosh, look at that one, look at that one. So one of the things we wanted to do was to incorporate a few more azaleas. We do have a few in the yard. We've got some amazing ones blooming on the side of the house right now, and then we've got some other ones that haven't quite opened up yet. So,
so that's a great place to start.
So let's start there.
You hand me this big one right here. And you grab that small one right there, and we'll talk about these two amazing azaleas. Now, the one I have in my hand is really cool. It's a very unique azalea. They call this the spider azalea. It's a Coromo Shikaboo is the name on this. So really nice, light pink and purple kind of lavender splashes in there on the blooms, and you get these kind of divided petioles, which is really nice, and it gives a really interesting bloom texture, along with really nice structure on this one as well. So one that I was really excited to get because we don't really have anything this color out here in the garden, and it's an early spring bloomer, so you kind of get that, you know, spring interest. A lot of the other azaleas I have are more of the native azaleas to the area, so they are still
late spring to summer.
Yeah, they're more late spring to summer, so you kind of get some different bloom times, and that's why I thought this one would be a great choice. Now, this one here, you'll have to read the tag on that.
Yeah, and Brian is definitely more of an expert when it comes to like all the specific details of all of that. So I'll be the Vanna White of the video and hold him up for the majority of the part. But this one is called Coral Bells. It's a small pink hose and hose blooms.
Yes.
So loose rounded habit.
So it's kind of a double bloom. The way that the flower on that is really nice, light pink with some kind of white type on the ends. It caught our eye when we were walking through the green. It's not one that I know a ton about, but I know that it is going to be a really nice color contrast for the garden out here. I don't think I have anything that's in that light pink color out here.
And it's supposed to be more compact, so more dwarfy, I guess, in a sense.
Dwarfier, yes.
So that it doesn't, take up too much space. We have a small lot here, but we want to maximize the space we have and put as much in it as possible. So that's why we're choosing a few more compact dwarf type of plants.
Absolutely. And what's cool about, I think, with azaleas is they're a great, like, kind of a backdrop plant or a background plant. So what my plan is with a lot of these is to kind of provide color splashes behind a lot of the maples and kind of outline the back edge of the garden area where you have the maples out front and then you have the azalea flower blooms behind it, kind of popping off those colors and giving you a lot of different textures and colors in the garden. I'm always trying to create contrast. I think contrast is one of my favorite things about plants, is playing off of those contrasts. So now we did find some other flowering plants that I know you're really excited about adding to the garden.
So back in Oklahoma, I attempted to grow one peony. And it was so young that I honestly didn't get a chance to appreciate it or enjoy it. So when I saw these at the open house, I was like, we have to get these. One, they are 2 gallons, and
so a nice size.
2, they already have blooms about to start. So I don't know a ton about peonies, but I do believe it takes 2 to 3 years for them to start actually producing. So I was really excited to get those, and I ended up with 3 of them. So this one, and they're not blooming, so I honestly, off the top of my head, I'm not gonna remember what the colors of the blooms are, but this one is called Raspberry Sundae. Do you remember anything off of that one?
I think that one was kind of a light pink with some
ooh, yeah, you're right.
With some like kind of red, kind of strawberry colors in that.
Right on the edging of the outline.
Right on the edging of it, so it's going to be a really nice big, like fluffy bloom. What do we have next?
Coral Charm. Yeah, so this one is more of a peachy corally color. That is a color that I personally don't necessarily see a lot of in a garden, so I really wanted to incorporate that. And to contrast, I do have one more to talk about, but to go right hand in hand with that peachy corally color, we decided to go with this flowering quince.
Yes, and so this is a cameo. It's kind of an apricot peach color on the bloom, and one that I think is going to really add kind of a different flower style, with outside of the like a peony or azalea. So it's going to be an interesting, again, like playing off of texture and color, really cool plant.
We had a flowering quince in Oklahoma, and it was a bright red, and that thing just shot off. I mean, I planted it, and within 2 to 3 years, that thing was massive. So I'm excited to get this in the yard and just see how well it will do here in Western North Carolina.
Yeah, I like the way this plant, it has these long stem branches, and then the flowers just load all the way up the branch. It looks really nice and creates a lot of interest in the garden.
I don't know if we'll get a whole lot of blooms on it this year. I do believe it is an early spring because if I remember correctly, it always blooms around the time that the forsythias are blooming and different things. So that'll definitely be a highlight next year.
Yes. All right, so we'll keep moving right along. I think we should jump to 2 maples that Frances picked out.
So,
she is, like I said, she's always got an eye. She thinks about structure and all the things that I think about when it comes to maples.
I am all about the shape.
That's
I
one
really
of the cool
enjoy
things about going to the MrMaple open houses too, is you get to kind of pick and choose from the group that you see.
Right, there's
find the
multiple
one
options.
that speaks to you and has a great shape to it.
For sure.
We'll start out here with Acer palmatum Orion.
Yeah, so I don't remember which greenhouse we were in necessarily, but I was just digging, and we've had an Orion before.
Yeah.
When I saw it, it was grouped with a bunch of greens, so of course my eye was drawn to it. Now, I'm not as well educated with maples as Brian is. He probably knew, or well, he did know what it was almost immediately, but I had to go dig on it. But what I really liked about this was just the structure and the girth of the trunk.
Yeah.
So one thing this year that I kept saying was these 1 gallons are out of sight. Like, I couldn't believe how big some of these specimens were in 1 gallon.
One of the cool things about Orion is it is a dwarf, and that is kind of working into the theme of our garden here, because we're trying to maximize our space, and it's always important to think about the cultivar you're picking to put in your spot to make sure it's not going to overgrow or outgrow your space. And Orion's going to provide some really cool texture and color, nice like copper red colors on that with some green undertones, and really cool structure, nice tight compact shape to it, and really nice shape on this one. One of the reasons why I think it caught your eye so much, and really cool maple. And then moving right along to the other one that you found here.
Those who know me know I am a fan of the Ghost series, and if there is a ghost, I will try my hardest to pick it out. So Grandma Ghost, Acer palmatum Grandma Ghost,
yes.
We had a phenomenal one in Oklahoma.
We did.
So I was a little sad when we weren't able to bring her with us. And currently in our collection, we have Purple Ghost, we have Uncle Ghost, we have Baby Ghost,
we have
Amber Ghost, and now Grandma Ghost. And there are some more that we will definitely be adding as the area allows. But anyway, I am a fan of Grandma Ghost. Again, the 1 gallon, I thought this had a really nice structure to it. I'm a really big fan of the reticulation and like just the veining in each of these leaves. You just can't go wrong with the Ghost series, so I'm really thrilled to be adding this back in our garden. Yeah,
I'm excited that she found a Grandma Ghost, because it's one of my favorites of the Ghost series. A lot of the Ghost series are in that kind of the reds and pinks, and so the Grandma Ghost gives you more of those whites, creams, and then the green veining. So it's really a standout of the Ghost series, I think, and creates a really nice structure too. The one we had in Oklahoma was just this perfect shape, and I think this one is going to lend to that kind of structure as well. And really excited. We've got kind of a spot in mind in the garden already. One of the reasons why we picked this up, we were like, hey, we could put a Grandma Ghost right there.
And it'll be in between two of the purple and red ones.
It'll be near Amber Ghost and Purple Ghost.
Yeah,
so
it'll be a perfect contrast.
Be a really nice contrast with those, and one we were excited about picking up.
Yep.
All right, so next up we've got some dwarf mawa varieties that I'm really excited about adding to the garden. Let's show them what we got.
So I don't think it would be a normal open house if we didn't come home with some form of mawa type.
Yeah.
I believe every open house we've come home with something. Last fall we came home with Bazinga. And then now we have 3 more. So I'll let Brian tell you about
them. We'll start out here with this big one here. So this is a Macawa Yetsubusa seedling that was grafted because it showed some interesting characteristics. This was grown by Talon Buchholz. Really interesting concept here. So it has some unique characteristics, a little bit of bronzing on the leaves I've noticed, And you pointed out to me today the bark color, and I totally agree. It has kind of a blue-green bark color to it, and a great structure. Anything that is, you know, worthy enough for Talon buckholts to continue to observe and to look at, I think is worthy to be in my collection.
Absolutely.
And then in the other hand here, I've got a Acer palmatum macawa KN. Now, Frances found this one. We were digging deep in the greenhouses, and
yeah, they were kind of hidden underneath a canopy of other cultivars. And you know, the macawas are so unique in themselves. You know one when you see one, if you're familiar with them. So whenever I was digging through the trees, I was like, hey, there's something hidden under here that's kind of unique. So I pulled them out, and I didn't know what they were, but he did.
So the Macawa KN is kind of the golden bronze Macawa. It has some bronzing on the new growth, and also when it first leaves out in spring, it has kind of a golden bronze color to it, which is a really unique color variation of that standard green Macawa Yatsubusa. Beautiful introduction. I believe it's from Crispin Silva, which he has some really cool ones. Mystic Macawa is another one he does, which I have in my collection. So anything coming from Crispin Silva as a selector of cultivars, he's got it going on.
So you mentioned bronzing. So this one does bronzing too?
It does, yeah. They both have a similar bronzing, but I think this is more, more consistent with the bronzing and a darker bronzing color. So,
okay.
And then this one is kind of a new thing. This is one honestly don't know much about at all. Really, there's no information out there on this cultivar yet. It's a new introduction. It is called Mr. Miyagi, Acer palmatum Mr. Miyagi. What a killer name for a Macawa type. Super dwarf, very reminiscent of the Acer palmatum Macawa Yatsubusa, but a slight variance of that. Really tight layered leaves, compact shape. And these are all dwarfs, which fit great into our garden because we're working with a smaller space. So obviously, got to have the Macawa types, especially. Now, I think what we might do is put these out in my Macawa collection, or we could pot them up and let them fill out and get a little bit bigger before we plant them out in the garden.
We have a really nice red bonsai pot that I think this would look good in. And it's big enough that we could put like maybe some miniature conifers in and just create like
a nice little
nice little garden within one bonsai pot. But we'll see what happens.
I like that
idea.
I don't know. I like where you're going with that. All right.
I think we only have maybe 3 more to talk about.
Only 3 more to talk about. I'm going to hand you this one, and I'll pick up this one as well. So most everything we've been talking about has been in that kind of green, except for the Orion. But here's a couple of really nice red upright Japanese maples that I think is really cool. I'll start with this one here. This is Acer palmatum Dolly Hill. To me, every plant should have a story, and I love the history behind Japanese maples. I think that's so important to connect people with these different cultivars and why they're special, where they come from. And Dolly Hill is kind of the legacy plant, I think, in my opinion, of MrMaple. This is a historic plant in their family history, where their grandmother grew this tree, and this was collected from that and grafted from that particular special Japanese maple in their family history. So I had to have a Dolly Hill. I think everybody should have this red upright. We all know the typical red uprights, but I think the story behind certain ones, I think really speaks to the cultivar and makes it even more special. And then right here I've got a really cool cultivar called Acer palmatum Umege, and this is a really nice dark, sometimes kind of a chocolate maroon color, which gives you some different tones than what you would normally expect in the red uprights. And then it also has a very bright green bark, which contrasts really well.
It's got some green veining with it too.
Got a little bit of green veining in that leaf too. I'm always looking, when it comes to red uprights, there's so many of them, I'm looking for things that stand out just a little bit more than the rest. And so here's a couple of red uprights that will be finding a place in the rural garden somewhere, and probably near several other dwarfs, because that's kind of the way I think about when I'm spacing things. Is I'll plant an upright that's going to get a larger in size, and then I'll plant dwarfs around that, and then I can go to another larger size around those. So to kind of create that spacing dynamic and color contrast, and so many different ways to showcase Japanese maples. As always, we're huge fans of MrMaple. They're great friends of mine. I've worked for them. I still currently work part-time and special events. I love those guys. They have some of the best trees out there. They have some of the hugest selection of those trees also. So always check out, you know, I post a lot of information about these trees, and a lot of people are looking, where can I find that? Go to MrMaple.com. Chances are they've got one. If they don't have it in stock, you can always sign up for an email when they come back in stock. That's how I got started with MrMaple many years ago.
Yeah, in Oklahoma.
In Oklahoma, I started ordering online from MrMaple, and they are always treating me great and provide a lot of information and cool trees. So I always have to kind of plug them because they're such a great nursery.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for tuning in, and hope you enjoyed our newest members of our crazy collection here at the Rural Gardens. If you like what you're seeing, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. That helps us get our content out.
Yes.
We are so close to 1,000 subscribers,
Yes.
so I would really love to hit that mark, hopefully in the next week or so. So yeah, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and
so stay tuned too also, because we're doing tons of garden content right now. I've been releasing a lot of videos covering all, like the spring color on all the Japanese maples that I have in my collection. And we're going to kind of keep like shifting gears too. We're going to throw in some hiking in there.
Yep.
We're going to throw in some different style of gardening.
Yeah,
vegetable gardening is
I
coming
definitely
soon.
have been procrastinating this spring with my vegetable garden, but we are taking a couple of extended weekends in the near future, and I am going to get it ready.
Yes.
So we will be thriving for the summer garden. We'll probably include some content there. But yeah.
Everything that we showed today in the video, I'll probably try to get out and do some planting videos on this stuff and kind of show where we put them, why we put them there, and different ways you can plant things in the garden, and just gardening tips and planting tips along the way. So much fun, so many ideas that I have to share the rural gardens with all of you. We appreciate you guys tuning in. All the comments, all the shares, all the likes has been great. We appreciate that, and I'll try to get in there and respond to everybody, because I like having a conversation, and I don't get to see a lot of you in person. So really the only way I can communicate with you is through our channel, and we appreciate that a lot, because it connects us all together through beautiful plants.
All right, so until next time.
Take care.